Welcome back, Tribe. I have one here requested by you guys. It's a dude named Jenner. He's only got 6,000 subs, so show him some love. That's Jenner with two N's and two R's. That's his channel name right down here. And video's titled, Young Men Are Turning Their Backs on Women in Record Numbers.
A lot of young guys are not getting married. They're not having kids. They're not even dating. They're not having girlfriends. And you're not going to see this on the news. You're not going to see this on Tucker Carlson or CNN or anything like that. But it's a massive trend. It's kind of taken over the West. And I think America specifically, young guys are kind of turning their backs on women. And a lot of people don't really understand, like, why is this happening? I want to talk about my experience and also one of my friends' experiences. One of my best friends, Luke, he's a really great dude, but he's a shorter guy and he's always kind of struggled to date. He's never had a girlfriend. And I was hanging out with him yesterday and he'd been talking to this girl. I was kind of excited for him, but he said that she kind of like ghosted him, and he told me he's pretty much done. Like, we were just eating and he was like, dude, I think I'm done like trying to find a girl. Like, if something fell in my lap, I would definitely consider it, but I'm done just going over and over again and getting rejected over and over again. And he also talked about how his parents are divorced, and he's like, even if I do end up being able to date a girl and end up getting married one day, I think that, you know, the fact that I could get divorced and get half my stuff taken, his mom, like, there was some infidelity there, and he's like, dude, like, even if I do end up being able to attract a girl, there's always that opportunity for her to kind of ruin my life. And I'm just not really sure if that's worth like going through all the struggle of getting rejected, trying, getting your heart broken over and over and over again.
The risk.
Eventually, like, you still don't have that guarantee that a woman's going to respect the marriage vows and is going to continue to like be loyal to you. It's a really big problem. I think that Luke is just like one of millions of guys. And I think that social media, dating apps, they've made like this relationship thing not what it's supposed to be. Like, our parents' generation and older generations.
Let me pause it there because I want to show you guys something when he says the social media thing. So here's what I have on the community post. This one just went out. And I wrote, her social media consumption is the #1 red flag to look for today. It surpassed everything else. And you see, I let social media influence me too much. Last year, I cheated on my ex because I thought he was a bum because he wasn't funding me to have a luxury lifestyle like I see others have on TikTok. The whole time he was saving money to adopt his nephews. I want him back, but he hates me now. I believe, I know for a fact that especially amongst the younger women, when you're dating from an age range of like 20 to 30, it's quite shocking to see that some of the younger girls that would normally be less drama, less baggage, less trauma, less everything, have more because they're more addicted to social media and more dependent on it. I'm starting to notice this weird thing where 25 and up chicks, 25 through 30, are more mentally stable than the 20 to 24-year-olds, which was never the case before, because the older she got, the more that she had the 1,000 cocks there, the more damage from being pumped and dumped, the more nights out, alcohol fueled, hookup culture, casual sex, all that stuff. And you would see they would have a little crazy in them from all the guys that they've tried to hook in but never could keep a hold of. That has somewhat given way to an even more extreme form of social media addiction and dependency that the younger ones have. It's far more damaging now. It's surpassed what the older chicks are dealing with, making them in some twisted way slightly better. It's kind of screwed up. As far as red flags go, the traditional stuff that we used to look for, like tramp stamps, just tattoos in general that are super masculine and red flags, and they're all still red flags, don't get me wrong. But there was a hierarchy of red flags. She got a few tattoos here and there. Well, okay, now I have to dissect why she's got tattoos. Okay, is it because her mother passed away? Is it because this? Is it because there was a drunk night out with her friends and she wanted to get tattooed? Right? What's the meaning behind it? That matters. Then it was like, okay, does she smoke and does she drink? How much does she drink? She smokes. How much does she smoke? Okay, those are somewhat red flags too. Gotta, again, prioritize why she does it. Is it because she's coping with some deeper issue, or is it just socially because once in a while she's out with friends? Okay, next. How was her relationship with her parents? You know, it's like dad in the picture, is mom in the pictures? Did she have a lot of trauma and abuse growing up? Blah, 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 right? You have a whole bunch of stuff that you're going through that you have to rank as far as what's a deal breaker for you. For me, and what I've noticed and what I advise men now, or I should say, don't advise you, it's your life, do what you want. All the stuff we used to look for before pales in comparison to social media use. I'm noticing it doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 40 or the old women 60 years old crying on TikTok. They all have one thing in common. Their mental derangement and damage is all suffixed under social media use. You can't, as a man, compete with thousands of men, thousands of women, just millions of strangers, always in your woman's head, hijacking her brain, her thought patterns, and her behaviors. You can't. Your relationship is a ticking time bomb. It just takes one video to plant a seed in her head that destroys your entire relationship. For me personally, social media use has skyrocketed to the top of the list. And the chasm between the next red flag that's a high priority is the Grand Canyon. I swear to you, you should next any woman whose social media use even gives you the slightest ick, as they say. The slightest. You see one picture, bro, fishing, thirst trapping, showing off too much. Next. You see her scrolling through the stories. Can't you catch her, right? Say you're on a train waiting for something. You're in a car ride going somewhere. You're grabbing a bite to eat. If you see this just scrolling like a zombie, absolute next. I'm telling you, new age dating requires new age techniques and strategies. This one, nobody writes about, nobody ever talks about truly in depth. Nobody's really going through it because I don't know how many of these creators that are talking about dating right now are actively dating as I am. And I'm actively seeing it. I'm actively going on dates. And the trends I'm noticing are startling, to say the least. The younger ones were always a better bet. Less trauma, less baggage, less problems. Now, I'm not so sure anymore. Social media use is ubiquitous with the younger generations. A 20-year-old chick is absolutely addicted to her phone and dependent on TikTok, dependent on Instagram Reels, photos. From since they were like 12 years old, 13 years old, their brain has been rewired permanently to seek attention from strangers. How many likes, how many comments, how many DMs. That affects their ability to bond, to create long-lasting, long-term relationships. And that's not even talking about their thoughts on marriage, which to the younger generation is an antiquated social contract. We don't do that anymore. Situationships are becoming the norm. And I'm noticing that here in Eastern Europe. You guys in the United States are absolutely screwed. The proper West is done for. It's rampant everywhere. And you don't have the backdrop of being raised with a intact nuclear and extended family. You don't have social shaming, societal shaming happening anymore. There's no guardrails anymore to repress people's most degenerate sexual whims. So they're running wild. That's just what I've personally noted. And the way I'm vetting is changing constantly because we're in an evolving dating market. It's gone global. Connectivity's at an all-time high and intimacy and deep connections are at an all-time low. The market is evolving before our very eyes. You have to evolve with it and stay ahead of the game. It's like playing the stock market, dude. It's like being a day trader. You have to beat the market in order to come out ahead. If you're the dude reacting to what's happening, you've already lost. You're the sucker holding the bag.
I think they kind of naturally had a different view on humans because they didn't see humans as like a number, as just like a swipe or anything, or they didn't really have like a clout check. Like obviously there were famous people and rich people back in the 1900s and stuff, but you didn't have this like level of clout and social status that Instagram or TikTok or some of these things kind of have made normalized. I think that girls have kind of had a lot of their like standards just kind of cooked by like social media.
And I love this article, Yazir. It says 6 out of 10 men are single. The disturbing reasons why. Thank porn, of course. Yes, porn is a major issue, but we've had that stuff since Greeks, since ancient Egyptians. Have you seen the stuff they were carving into stone? It's sexual acts, dude. We've been a very sexual species since the dawn of man. It's not solely porn. It's what has happened with women specifically in the last 60 or so years. What ideology has become mainstream? What has become so pervasive that the other side is now deemed as predators, as something being wrong with them? They need to be rehabilitated. Masculinity needs to be redefined. You tell me. Can't say it out loud because I'm on the Department of Homeland Security for extremism, apparently.
I think when you combine a lot of the things that we have in society today, a general sense of nihilism, like the death of religion, and you've got a lot of people that don't really see like dating as something that is only for marriage. Like you don't have people really dating to settle down. You have a lot of girls just dating like the hottest, most high status dudes they can get. And they're not really concerned about like, you know, trying to stay loyal to one guy. They're just kind of boosting up their social status. And I think that this is kind of the reason why a lot of young guys are kind of dropping out of the game. They think that it's almost an unfair game. Like Luke, he sees the potential for divorce. He knows about the painful reality of like divorce laws and custody laws because he experienced it with his parents. He's faced rejection, he's faced heartbreak, and he's just kind of like, I can just enjoy playing video games, hanging out with my friends, doing what I like to do, trying to get a career, like make some money. But it almost seems like he feels just discouraged to a point where he's kind of given up. And it's a sad reality because we're not meant to be alone as young guys. We're meant to be hanging out, dating, being romantic and physical with young women. It's just kind of how we're biologically programmed. It's how God made us, or at least that's what I believe. I'm a Christian, and I think that God kind of made the feminine and masculine energy to kind of match each other, to have like almost something to...
Look at this one. It says men aren't naturally stoic. They're just taught from a young age that emotions are for girls. And then people wonder why young men are so lonely. It's a dual-pronged problem here. It's the economics is what's really driving a lot of these issues. You simply can't survive as a man on one salary anymore. You can't have a stay-at-home wife. You can't have your 2 children, white picket fence with a big-ass dog and a house paid off for on that one salary. That American dream has died. Your ability to support a family has died. Inflation and stagnant wages have killed you. Corporations have crushed your ability to even compete with them and rise up in the social ladder. Think about what happened when mega corporations like Walmart move into a little town and they destroy all the mom and pop stores and suck up all the business. And then Walmart eventually closes down, leaves, and then that city is left to die out. There's no business there anymore. Same thing happened with factory jobs, with Michigan. This isn't just a cultural issue. The economics here matter. Men can't start families even when they want to because financially it's impossible. Now, you couple that with the delusional megalomaniacs on the other side who don't live in reality, who demand a top percentile man that doesn't exist for them, a unicorn that they will never find in the wild, yet they feel entitled to it simply for existing. You couple that with the economic situation and you have what's happening today, and we're headed for a cliff. The graphs trend down slowly, but there will be a steep drop off. It's coming, and it's coming very quickly, and AI will be there to speed it up. I'll say I told you.
Lean on, like they're complementary in the right setting, but society now has made a lot of men more feminine and they've made women more masculine. And when you combine that also with the whole idea of just like gender roles being destroyed, traditional values, religion kind of being destroyed.
And these issues, by the way, you can escape them if you go overseas. This is why many men are doing that and getting their passports and getting out of here for those exact reasons. That part's still solvable for now.
And then you also pile on top of that, like social media, the status check, dating apps, where there's more guys on dating apps than girls. Like I think it's like 70% of people on dating apps are men. And also men don't really have like the monogamy standard that a lot of our parents kind of expected. Some girls don't even really care if a guy has like other girls that he's hanging out with, as long as he's a very attractive, like successful, high status guy. They're more willing to just try to get with that guy than like a guy that's just
taming
less
him,
attractive, that will settle down.
Women are okay competing with one another for one man as long as she's the last woman. This is what you guys have to understand. A woman wants a man to be her last, and a man wants a woman to be his first. That's how it's been for the longest time. It's underpinned because of biology, because of how do I know if that kid's mine? This is all it is. Promiscuous women lead to potential paternity fraud. It's just securing your seed and your legacy. We have tests now for all that stuff, but still, on a biological level, that's what we're driven by. So women don't care and are actually attracted when there's other women because they are attracted to the competition. They want to best out. It's a status thing. They want to best all the other girls and be the one he chose. He had 1,000 women and he chose me. That's how they feel special. That's how they elevate themselves above all the other women. For them, that's a good thing. For men, it's the complete reverse, yet women don't understand this. If 1,000 men had you, then there's nothing special about you for me to keep you. If no man can have you, and I'm the one that gets to have it, I'm special. I'm elevated. I'm different. I win. All the other suitors were trying to get in your pants and All of them failed but me. You understand now? That's what it's underpinned by. You can call that archaic thinking. You can call that whatever you want. It will be with us until the end of time. You're not going to drill this out of people's heads. Men have a natural disgust at finding out incredible body counts from women or seeing videos of women in their past lovers, etc., all that stuff, or just hearing how many guys she's dated or the bedroom acrobatics she's done. That's just signaling to the guy that he's not the first to do anything and that he's not special, as opposed to a woman finding out there's 7 other women after the same guy and she's going to try harder to be the one that gets all the attention. There's plenty of videos of women saying, if he's got no hoes, I don't find him attractive. What's wrong with him? He's got to have some hoes. I know it's messed up that I think like him. I can't help it. That's why they say that. It is what it is, man. It's just eliciting competition. It's different. Men want something no other man can get. And women want something all women want and be the only one to have it. That's it.
And want a marriage with them. A lot of girls are not really concerned about having kids, being in a monogamous relationship. They just want to kind of hoe around and hang out with like a Chad type of guy. Even if they can't get all of him, like they'd rather take some of that guy than all of a guy who's kind of below him on the dating scales, if you use like the 1 through 10 scales. Hypergamy and polygamy are kind of what's taking over. And I think it's been like a slow burn, but we're getting to a point where the statistics are really starting to show this, not just in like the birth rate decline, but also just, I think Pew Research does a lot of dating type like polls and stuff. And a ton of guys are saying like they're not even looking for dates. They're not interested in dating. They've kind of turned their back on the game. They're like, okay, I work 40 hours a week. I got to go to the gym. I only have a certain amount of free time. I don't really want to spend that free time working so hard just to get rejected and set up to fail. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to play video games. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to enjoy my life, spend time in nature, reading, watching TV, hanging out with my friends, drinking, maybe smoking. They don't really want to spend that little bit of free time that we get trying to play a losing game. No, I think that it's really sad. I think it's a tough situation. And I also want to encourage guys, if you feel like you're a lot like Luke, and this is what I told Luke, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this in the comments, but I don't think giving up is the right option. I think that you just have to kind of shift like your priorities. Now, Luke's not a religious guy. I think that he's not really going to take the advice, but I know that for me at least, I'm a Christian guy. And I want a Christian woman. And what Christianity kind of teaches, and I mean, it demands of the followers, is monogamy and marriage if you're going to settle down. Like, you can stay single as a guy. You can kind of go monk mode. And like 1 Corinthians, Paul talks about this. Like, it's not a sin to not get married. But if you do want to be sexually active, if you want to have a family, you're supposed to do that in the marriage covenant under God. 2 flesh become one and have a family. And I also think that Christian women in general will respect that vow, at least a lot more than secular women. Like a woman who's actually serious about her faith. She's in her church, like involved.
That's true.
She has a history of taking sex seriously. Hopefully she's a virgin or has like 1 or 2 bodies. She's going to be much more likely to stay committed to marriage, to have a healthy view on what love is. I think a lot of secular women have been kind of brain rotted by TikTok, by propaganda and podcasts, Sex in the City, Call Her Daddy, all that stuff. Yep. It's kind of skewed what their realistic like vision of a relationship looks like. But a woman that's really involved in religion, not just Christianity, but I also think like other religions can be a lot more healthy than secular liberal society. They kind of understand that marriage is not like a walk in the park. It's not going to be an easy thing. You're not always going to feel lovey-dovey. What it really is sacrifice, a mutual respect, shared values, and creating an environment to have kids. And that's why it is really important. Like, I wouldn't tell a guy, don't date a girl unless she has like a good family. But if a girl comes from like a healthy family environment where her parents are still together and they haven't separated, she understands that they're not always in this like deep lovey-dovey phase. They just created the life together and they've kind of stuck through it. They stayed committed. And it's rewarded them with a life where now they can actually have a family. They can have someone to do life with. Now, I think that's a lot better than trying to go through life solo, because life is really difficult. I don't want to go through all this alone. My parents are getting older. They're going to die one day. I've already had a family member pass away. There's going to be deep loneliness in your 40s and 50s if you don't have a family or you don't have like a wife.
Facts.
Because, you know, in your 20s, like Luke, he can hang out with us. Like, he hangs out with us a lot. I'm hanging out with him tonight. You can do a lot of fun stuff to fill up your time. But if I get married, which I want to, and have kids, I'm not going to be able to kick it with him in my 30s and 40s nearly as much. And all of his friends are going to start kind of settling down, hanging out on the weekends, going fishing, like going to the gym together. That stuff's going to become few and far between for a lot of those guys. So if you're really considering this, I would really try to think.
And by the way, on that point that he's making, make sure that you don't lose touch with your boys just because you get a wife and a kid or kids. Make sure that you keep time for yourself. Make sure that you keep your connections. It will strengthen your relationship with your woman. It will give you healthy outlets to blow off steam and talk and get opinions from men you respect. It's healthy for you. Don't feel like you need to become isolated when you get a family. That's not true. You can still go fishing and hiking and playing ball with the boys. It's not a problem. It just takes more effort. You have to make time to make it happen. It's not a simple, hey, what are you doing right now? Bunch of nothing. What are you doing? Same. Let's go ball. It's not that easy anymore. You have to put in more effort to schedule more shit, but the effort is even more important now, or I should say in that situation, that you make sure you put that effort in to go out and see the boys. Never lose touch with the boys if you can help it. Put in the effort. I know it's not the same. It's not as easy. People get busy. If you have to, be the one that reaches out and make the plans, even if it's a pain in the ass. Trust me, all of them will appreciate it and all of them need it as much as you do. Don't get your identity lost in the family life.
Think about your life from like a top-down view. Assume that you're going to live to 80 years old. If you're 20 right now, do you want to spend the 60 remaining years you have like alone and single? Be honest with yourself. Like, there's some guys that are willing to do that. And if you're a Christian guy and you want to try to spread the word and
I know there's guys in the comments that would be like, yeah, I'm 60 and alone and life's never been better. Sorry, bro, you're coping. I understand. Every single man that's not 60 that wants to have a family, every man in general wants to have a wife and a kid or multiple kids. Every guy. Maybe maybe like 1% of men are really chill doing absolutely nothing, not having a woman or any kids. Great. Cool story, bro. You cucked yourself. Most men absolutely want to lead a family and be the head of a household. A life at 60 with a full house, with a submissive, feminine, fit, friendly woman, with young, beautiful kids that are grown up into nice, well-adjusted, well-mannered adults is a beautiful thing to have, and every man dreams of having that. It's just the realities of society is making that a lot more difficult. A lot of the men at 60 that say they're happy alone will tell you that they dream of, what would my life look like if I had all those things? Or I wish I could have had all those things, but I've accepted that I can't. But don't tell me that it's better. There's a difference between accepting that you will not have that thing, but deep down wanting it, versus coping with yourself and telling yourself that your life is infinitely better, that you don't have any of that. That's a clown show. And I'll never agree with any of the guys that are saying, nope, turn my back forever, not doing it. I'm cool being alone until I die. No, until you're actually truly alone and you're on death's door and you look around you and all you have is trinkets, stuff, material possessions, the exact opposite of the Matrix we're all trying to escape. If you want to put it in that perspective, escaping the Matrix is raising a successful family, is having deep, lasting, long relationships, deep bonds, intimate connections with people, your own kin. That's escaping the Matrix. Collecting fucking trinkets and boats and lures and houses and cars and all that shit is just being a different version of Cypher. You're eating the fake steak. You're still under the spell. You're a consumer. You're consuming things. The only time you don't consume material possessions is when you're spending quality time with family, with your own kin. That's when you're generating authentic memories, authentic experiences, authentic connections. That doesn't make money for the capitalist. That's bad. Be alone, be angry or sad or depressed or whatever, and consume, buy things to make yourself feel better. That's a gain. For all the guys struggling, and I know it's horrible and so the market sucks, like I said earlier, the delusions, the entitlement, the economic factors. I understand it's hard, man, but if you do get a passport, that's basically the Hail Mary last option for you to live the dream life. It's gone in America, and infinitely harder if you're trying to do the needle in a haystack and find a decent woman that's under pressure from social media like they are in the West, especially with the government's backing. That's all I'm saying. Don't give up. You're a man who you find solutions to any problem, and there are solutions.
Really dive into your faith and your relationship with God. If that's what you feel like you're called to do, go for it. But if you're like a secular guy and you're just kind of like fed up with the game, kind of like Luke, I wouldn't recommend giving up. I would recommend trying to shift your priorities. I would also recommend, of course, I'm a Christian. This is a shameless plug, but you should probably look into the church, look into theology, read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, read the Bible, listen to the Bible while you work out. Become a Christian and look into that, because that's kind of the last good bet you have as a young guy to live a meaningful, a purposeful life in the West. And it is also like the truth. I truly believe in Christianity, and I think that it's going to change your life if you actually give it a decent, like realistic chance to do that. Like look into God, look into Christianity, figure out what you believe. And then it also kind of opens the door to have a much more healthy relationship. Christian women, like a woman who's actually serious about her faith and respecting the traditional values of Christianity, she's going to be a much better wife than a secular woman who's been propagandized by Collar Daddy, Sex in the City, all these crappy love rom-com movies where everybody's going buck wild, fucking whoever, and then they have some $100,000 wedding and they live happily ever after. That's not the realistic situation that happens in those things. Like in reality, that relationship goes downhill after a couple months. They start hating each other. The girl takes half the guy's assets in court. She fucks his best friend to get back at him, and then he's left miserable. So don't be that guy. But that's why I think a lot of young guys are turning their backs on women. I can't necessarily blame some of these guys, but I also would just say, like, my genuine piece of advice would be, maybe don't give up on the game. Maybe just change your strategy in a major way. Don't pursue liberal, secular women. Also, don't give up on women as a whole. Pursue the wholesome, good, traditional women. And for me, that's going to be a Christian woman.
Great.
And that's kind of my...
For me, it's overseas. That's always been the answer. Far more traditional, wholesome women overseas. I've been telling you guys that too.
Opinion. Like this video, share this video, comment down below, let me know what you think, subscribe.
I'm curious what some of the comments say. It's always been an unfair game. The only difference is that we're no longer blind to it. I'm starting to get fed up with modern life as a whole, to be honest. I've dated a lot of women, and finally at 29 years of age, I'm done. You know, I had the same feeling when I came back to America and I was looking at dating prospects and just dating in general. Just came back temporarily. My idea in my head that popped up was, if I had to live here permanently and I wasn't moving, I think I would have checked out of dating. Only if I came across a woman that's not from America that may have moved there, I would give that a shot. But homegrown, fully indoctrinated, the whole going to college, I'm a career woman, all that, I'm done for me. It's not worth the effort. They're so far from what feminine women are, from what tradition is, that trying to build that kind of lifestyle will just blow up in your face eventually. And even if they want to be traditional and feminine in the sense of how their grandmothers were, they can't, because they're not taught all the same things. They weren't raised with those principles. They were taught how to do schoolwork and go to college and be a slave at some cuck corporation in a cubicle. You know, like how good is she at cooking? How good is she with children? How good is she with keeping the house clean? You know, how does she feel about serving her man and not serving him like a slave? I mean, how happy does she feel doing things for her man naturally? Like, does she like to see him happy? Does him being happy make her happy? Naturally, you know, like these are little feminine characteristics that are missing from a lot of women today, because they're being drilled with more masculinity, more be like a man, be more competitive, do more, focus on your career, more money. You don't need a man. Forget about family. Think about it later. Go out, get pumped and dumb, casual hookups, my body, my choice, independent, strong woman, hypersexualization, sexual empowerment, all this stuff. You know, they're being drilled to be the complete opposite of what men are looking for. So having seen all that, having dated through all that, having gone through college and been a part of the hookup culture, and having seen how much damage it causes in both men and women and society in general, and how it could lead to a lot of emotional trauma and people never really healing from it and not being introspective, because they don't even have time to be introspective, because they're constantly alerts are going off on your phone, alerts, emails. Oh my God, got to go to work, 8 hours here, deadlines, boss wants this done. You never have time to even think about yourself for yourself. You're in the rat race. That's what it is. It's when life just flashes by. You end up 65 retired and you wonder where all the time went. You were basically sleepwalking all the way to retirement. That's what it is. And most people never get to do that self-work to figure out who they are and what they want. And that's dangerous, man. And unfortunately, a lot of people are that way, men and women. And that's what's causing all the damage we're seeing in dating. And that's why, for me personally, I would have checked out had I had to live in America with dating altogether. That story completely changes when you go overseas. And that's my only solution to you guys is work hard on yourself, align your mind, body, and spirit, find your purpose in life, work hard towards it, always improve, always take on new hobbies, always experience what life has to offer. And when you go overseas as this complete version of yourself or on the way to being the complete version of yourself, you will reap the benefits. I'm telling you, if you do the due diligence as a man, you will be rewarded. Although it doesn't seem like it currently where you live in the West, but it is true overseas. Ask all the men. There's men in the comments. I want men to comment on that and you read them and see what they're saying. If you like today's episode, make sure to like, subscribe, share it, all that stuff. We're being suppressed always. And if you like the original creator's video, go back to the beginning of the video and subscribe to his channel. We'll see you guys on the next one.